The Black Bruce Lee practiced spinning kicks 1 million times. By doing so, he destroyed the Muay Thai monsters of his time. How was the Black Bruce Lee able to defeat Muay Thai monsters when these low kick legends were defeating all the cocky spin kickers of his time?
It doesn't take too much talent to kick to the legs. So, as you saw those jumping, spinning kicks that Rick was throwing and all the defensive ability, I think that's real talent, real talent.
Yes, you see, Bruce Lee once said, "I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times." Well, Bruce Lee, you would be proud of the Black Bruce Lee, Manson Gibson.
96. Come on, Bruce Lee!
He practiced side kicks and spinning kicks over 1 million times each, and by doing so, he was made out of titanium. Perhaps he was so dominant because he embodied all the philosophies of Bruce Lee.
Running water never grows stale, so you gotta just keep on flowing. I said, empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water. Now you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Now water can flow or it can crash. Water, my friend. When you're talking about fighting as it is, with no rules,
real fighting.
Well then, baby, you better train every part of your body.
By embodying all the philosophies of Bruce Lee, the Black Bruce Lee also earned the name the Muay Thai Slayer. During his time, all of Manson Gibson's peers were being destroyed by the Muay Thai monsters of his time. Everyone changed their styles, but this legend refused to change his style and destroyed them with spinning kicks instead. He didn't just fight any average Muay Thai fighter either, he fought the best of the best. From Ernesto Hoost to Changpuek Kiatsongrit, Manson Gibson fought the Muay Thai world champions with the most ridiculous style of all time and won. Fight fans, welcome back to another episode of Lawrence Kenshin Striking Breakdowns. In this episode, we explore how the Black Bruce Lee became the Muay Thai Slayer. This is Manson Gibson, the best fighter in the world.
I hope I've proved everybody that I'm still the best fighter in the mother world.
So who is Manson Gibson? He is one of the greatest American kickboxers of all time.
He's 49-0 in title defenses.
But he's also 97-6 overall record.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
He even acknowledges that Muay Thai is the best style.
Thai is best style. Thai is best style. Best fighters in the world. There hasn't been an American fighter to beat a Thai since Dale Cook. So now I am the one. 5-0 Japan, 5-kick knockout. There's no fighter better than me in the world.
You see, the Black Bruce Lee is right. Muay Thai is the best style. But he is the one with the style to be able to beat them. After all, he embodies the spirit of Godzilla.
#1 fighter in the world. Godzilla!
And who could beat a fighter embodying Godzilla and Bruce Lee? But seriously, what does this style consist of? The side kick, the spinning back kick, the spinning hook kick, whirlwind left hook, explosive footwork, iron nuts, ridiculous wrestling, and supreme confidence. In this masterclass video of Manson Gibson destroying the Muay Thai monsters of his time, we feature the Black Bruce Lee vs Coban, Changpuek Kiatsongrit, Chanmansuk, Sajitkan, Yarsin Loogklongtan, and Ernesto Hoost. These are all legendary fighters, and you are in for a treat. Manson Gibson vs Chanmansuk. Personally, this is my favourite fight from Manson Gibson. During this time, Gibson had become a superstar in Japan. Gibson came into the ring dancing, and before the fight had started, he had already rushed to the middle of the ring. Gibson offered a double glove touch, but the Muay Thai fighter backed away, knowing very well that he frequently employs a sneaky spin kick attack. Gibson danced around on the outside like Bruce Lee. This made the Thai drop his guard, and the Japanese guy in the crowd laughed. This went on for another minute, until the ref stepped in and told them to fight. And that was the exact moment a low kick was landed. Right after, Gibson did a double whirlwind spin kick right into a spinning headbutt. He then followed the headbutt with a back crushing takedown. The Thai got up and expressed, "Okay, let's go then." It then became a battle of side kicks versus low kicks. Gibson even landed 3 side kicks in a row without dropping his foot. Anytime there was a clinch, the Black Bruce Lee went for a takedown, which is an intelligent tactic. The cameraman then decided to zoom in on their legs. After that, more side kicks met low kicks. When Chanmansuk had enough of the side kicks, he rushed in to spam low kicks. That was the exact moment Gibson picked up his adversary and wouldn't let go.
You will never let me go.
When the next round started, Gibson threw a spinning back kick that sent the Thai flying. Chaotic fighting then followed. It was full of ugly technique by both sides, because there is no other way to fight Gibson. When the Black Bruce Lee went for a side kick, he was thunderously nutshotted, but it didn't affect him. This woke up the Black Bruce Lee and he started timing his shots better. All of his whirlwind attacks started finding a mark. Somehow, Gibson could beat the Muay Thai clinch with short punches to the ribs, showing how strong he must be to do so. Throughout the fight, the Black Bruce Lee controlled the outside with his side kicks. Many whirlwind attacks were attempted and many landed. In the final exchange, Gibson sent Chanman into the ropes with a side kick. The Thai then bounced back and walked away with his hands down. For some reason, he thought throwing a low kick without a guard would be a good idea. And Gibson timed a perfect spinning back hook kick against his low kick without even losing balance. There was no getting up from that. Gibson did a cartwheel through the air and then his corner low kicked him to the butt right after. When Chanman got up, Gibson gave him props. The Black Bruce Lee won the world title and did the splits right after. After the fight, Gibson said he was willing to fight any other Thai in the world and that he is the best.
Any Thai, any other Thai, I'm the best in the world.
He tried to grab the mic and got rejected. But eventually they gave him the mic and he said he hoped to become one of their greatest champions.
I'd like to say thanks Japan for having me and I hope I can be one of your greatest champions. Thank you very much.
Manson Gibson versus Sajitkan. Sajitkan came out controlling the center ring. He tried to go for a low kick strategy. When Gibson tried a spinning back kick, Sajitkan slammed a low kick thunderously into Gibson's nuts. Gibson then tried to trip his opponent and almost got it. When Gibson tried a spin kick again, Sajitkan again thunderously nutshotted Gibson. This is certainly an effective way of countering the Black Bruce Lee. Ernesto Hoost would employ this tactic later on too. To avoid the nutshot, Gibson started doing the whirlwind to feint. Then, when Sajitkan tried to rush in after, he got side kicked. At the end of the round, Gibson smiled and offered a glove touch. I don't know if I could do the same after being nutshotted multiple times, but Gibson is a better man than I am. When the next round started, Gibson threw a side kick on the outside, and when Sajitkan stepped in, he timed a perfect spinning kick to the head. This was the first knockdown. Sajitkan tried to show he wasn't affected, but everyone knew what was up. Right after, Manson threw a punch combo that was so chaotic he fell to the floor himself. Then, they both tried to trip each other and failed. When Sajitkan got too close, Gibson picked him up and slammed him. Sajitkan then tried to throw a jumping middle kick, which Gibson intercepted with a low kick. With Sajitkan stumbling into the ropes, Gibson put on an 8-hit combo that resulted in him falling to the ground. Later, when Sajitkan sprinted in for a low kick, a perfectly timed intercepting left hook landed, resulting in a second knockdown. Sajitkan came out the next round with urgency, but he was met by multiple spinning kicks and multiple takedowns. On the outside, it was all side kicks and spin fists. Sajitkan was able to intercept one spin kick by pushing Gibson's butt. He pulled up his Muay Thai shorts like a G right after. This made the Thai confident, and when he rushed in again, kicking Gibson in the nuts as he whirlwinded, Gibson still landed a spinning kick to the head. Gibson threw more spinning kicks to try and finish the fight, but Sajitkan was saved by the bell. Not much happened in the beginning of the next round until Gibson's spinning kick was beautifully intercepted by a low kick. Luckily, this time it wasn't a nut shot, but right after, the same sequence happened again and it was a nut shot. The Black Bruce Lee was pissed and hugged Sajitkan right away. When Gibson tried to side kick, he was again punted right in the groin. Like usual, he felt nothing. At the end of the fight, it was Muay Thai clinch knees versus dirty boxing. Gibson offered to hug, but Sajitkan really didn't want to, but eventually hugged him a bit. My favourite moment in this fight was definitely the spinning kick knockdown, despite the clean nut shot during the whirlwind. The second favourite moment was when Gibson offered the trophy to Sajitkan, and Sajitkan didn't know what to do and eventually accepted it. Manson Gibson vs Coban. In Gibson's fight against the legendary Coban, he started with a spinning back kick. For some reason, Coban adopted a wiggly guard for this fight. Gibson completely controlled the outside with spinning kicks, spinning fists, and side kicks. Coban stopped being so wiggly and then eventually started scoring solid combos and low kicks. He even landed a spinning kick of his own. As a smaller fighter, he walked down the Black Bruce Lee and even landed hard punches. Eventually, Gibson caught his rhythm and landed 4 side kicks in a row. Then, Gibson landed one of the most spectacular whirlwind attacks I've ever seen. He started off with a spinning back heel kick into a whirlwind left hook and then ended with a spinning backside kick. This hit Coban right as he was swinging for a left hook, and it landed so clean that Coban fell to the floor right away. There was no getting off from that. It was a perfect shot aided by Coban's own attempt to counter. Manson Gibson vs Ernesto Hoost. This is one of my favourite fights of all time. In my opinion, this was Gibson's greatest win. Hoost was visibly much bigger. Not only was he 6 inches taller, but you could tell how much thicker he was than Gibson. By 1993, Ernesto Hoost was a multiple-time Muay Thai world champion. Most notably, he defeated Branko Cicatic in 1989 to win the WMTA Muay Thai world title, and then Sayok from Thailand to win the title once again in 1990. In 1992, he won yet another WMTA Muay Thai world title from Tepetak Sang Morakot. That meant the great Ernesto Hoost was a 3-time Muay Thai world champion by the time he fought Manson Gibson. As well, he was the K1 World Grand Prix finalist in the year 1993. That is when he met the Black Bruce Lee. For those who don't know Ernesto Hoost, just know he is the greatest low kick heavyweight of all time. Right away, Gibson did the whirlwind on Hoost. Hoost was able to intercept it with a low kick, and Gibson for some reason held onto the legs. Being so much bigger, Hoost took centre of the ring and chased from the outside. Gibson respected the power of Hoost, especially after he got thunderously nut-shotted when side kicking. But like a true legend, he didn't complain. Inside the clinch, Hoost spammed knees and there wasn't much Gibson could do about it due to the size. When Gibson went for takedowns, he was the one who fell. But on the outside, the Black Bruce Lee was landing side kicks and spinning back fists. Gibson got hit to the groin more times than I've ever seen anyone else take in one fight. But he soldiered on with no complaints. Eventually, Gibson got a takedown and took back the momentum by landing a bunch of side kicks and spinning fists. In round 2, Gibson offered a glove touch, but Hoost rejected it. Then Gibson side kicked Hoost to the nuts and apologised right away. He controlled the outside with side kicks and spin fists. Hoost tried to blast and chase with low kicks, but would get spin fisted and spin kicked whenever he went in. Overall, it was a chaotic fight with good moments from both fighters. Then Gibson got hit with the first and only nut shot I've ever seen him complain about. Gibson even landed a jumping downward punch right after. The round ended by Hoost intercepting Gibson's spin kick. In round 3, Gibson came out spamming side kicks. Just when Hoost looked like he was gaining momentum with his perfect textbook techniques, Gibson hit a perfect spinning back fist on Hoost as he charged in. This resulted in a knockdown. And when Hoost charged in again right after, it happened again, which could arguably be counted as another knockdown. Then Hoost blasted a low kick to the groin during Gibson's side kicks again. The Black Bruce Lee landed 2 whirlwind attacks to end the round. In my eyes, Gibson should have been given the win, and the fight should not have gone to an extension round. Most people who saw this fight thought Gibson won, but the judges gave it a draw, making it an extension round under K1 rules. In the extension round, Gibson landed a side kick that floored Hoost. Hoost once again landed many low kicks, and Gibson once again landed many side kicks. On this night, Ernesto Hoost would eventually win a unanimous decision, but many people did believe Gibson won this fight. Spectators also believed that if the size difference was not so big, that Black Bruce Lee would dominate this fight. Despite the loss, Gibson was a classy gentleman and tried to pick up Hoost to celebrate his win, but Hoost was too big. Manson Gibson vs Changpuek Kiatsongrit. Changpuek Kiatsongrit is the GOAT low kicker for defeating GOAT American kickboxers like Rick Rufus and Dale Cook. He also made the young Duke Rufus super salty.
It doesn't take too much talent to kick to the legs, so.
But as it would turn out, he was no match for the Black Bruce Lee, aka the Muay Thai Slayer. In the fight against Changpuek Kiatsongrit, Gibson came out with a spinning back kick that hit the Muay Thai legend's armpit. Throughout the first round, Gibson danced around the whole time and invited Changpuek to attack, but neither fighter wanted to be first. Eventually, Gibson went for a spinning kick and Changpuek would land a low kick that sent Gibson cartwheeling on the ground. Gibson got up right away and landed a spinning back fist, which made Changpuek low kick him into the floor once again. Gibson started going for side kicks and controlled Changpuek better. The rest of the round became a battle of side kicks versus low kicks again. Right after the low kicks would land, Gibson would throw across the score back. Near the end of round 1, Gibson threw spinning fists into side kicks, and then side kicks into picking up Changpuek. Like previous fights, the Black Bruce Lee wouldn't let the opponent go. In round 2, Gibson came out with a storm of side kicks, spin fists, and spin kicks. Then he did a whirlwind attack when Changpuek charged in and rocked him. Throughout the round, Changpuek would resort to throwing pure left low kicks and middle kicks, but Gibson would thoroughly control the range with side kicks, and he even floored Changpuek with a double side kick. In round 3, Gibson offered a glove touch that was thoroughly rejected by Changpuek. Despite a brilliant rejection, Gibson landed a spinning kick followed by a whirlwind left hook. The Black Bruce Lee then followed up with an amazing barrage. Gibson then ragdolled Changpuek. He even made sure to take his sweet time to lay on the Muay Thai legend. This is so that he can recover from all the explosive combinations. He even pressed on Changpuek as he got up. Later on, Gibson was having a lot of fun and even did a ballerina spin into a spin kick. It's incredible that it landed. When Changpuek got too close, Gibson lifted him up again. This is an excellent strategy under shootboxing rules against Muay Thai knees. The round ended with Gibson landing a spin fist and then Changpuek landing a huge takedown. Overall, Gibson thoroughly dominated this fight and approached it with a very intelligent strategy. In round 1, he avoided Changpuek so he could not accumulate damage with low kicks. Then, he would start using side kicks to control the range. In round 2, once Gibson controlled the outside range, he could whirlwind with spinning kicks and spinning fists. When Changpuek got too close, he would clinch and nullify the knees with takedowns. In round 3, Gibson went all out with his spin attacks and rocked the Muay Thai legend. If there is one fight to study how to fight a low kick specialist as a spin kicker, This is the one. The second fight between Manson Gibson and Changpuek Kiatsongrit was also a great study.
Manson Gibson and Blinky, he is going after his 100th victory.
You never know what he's going to do. I think part of his success has been his awkwardness myself, but he's a tremendous fighter. His patience is going to say something tonight, to deliver the proper blow. He's going to need to dictate the fight, control the tempo, like I said, and he's calling for a KO in the 4th or 5th round.
The referee for this fight was Cecil Peoples, the guy who doesn't believe in low kicks. He asked Changpuek if he had any questions, and when the Muay Thai legend nodded yes, Cecil ignored him.
Any questions? Let's go.
Before the fight started, the Black Bruce Lee did a weird Karate Kid pose. Throughout the first round, Gibson danced around on the outside and used Cecil Peoples to avoid low kicks.
And the people began to laugh and boo at the same time. Cecil Peoples is going to get a workout trying to stay away from Manson Gibson. We see Changpuek, though, doing all he can to try to track Manson Gibson down, but I expect Manson Gibson to turn the fight on in the later part of the fight.
Eventually, Cecil had enough and told them to fight, but Gibson didn't care. Changpuek did, however, push forward, which is exactly what Gibson wanted.
Fight. Gibson's spent the first part of this opening round just running.
Changpuek repeatedly threw low kicks to Gibson's nuts, but it didn't bother him.
Manson told me last night that he wears a cup that actually protects the entire groin area around over the thigh bone, a much larger cup, so when he takes those shots, it doesn't feel.
They're a very awkward fighter. I've seen him come in the ring and kiss his opponent.
Yeah,
at the
absolutely.
stare down. I've seen antics from him that most people, either you love him or you hate him. There's no middle ground with Manson Gibson. But you're right about that cup. He uses one that protects everything all the way up under.
Yeah, you bet.
Cecil Peoples tried to warn Gibson about using him as a shield, but the Black Bruce Lee didn't give a f***. In the second round, Gibson took his kickboxing pants off and was now wearing Muay Thai shorts with the words Blaster on it. He comes out with spinning back fists and spinning back kicks.
Gibson now here, ready to lock up in round 2. Gibson comes out, spinning back kick, spinning back fist.
Right after, he got thunderously nutshotted again, but this only made Manson Gibson fight back harder.
Oh, he takes a left hook to the side of his...
Cecil Peoples separated their clinch, and when they reset, Gibson landed a perfect spinning back kick.
When they pose for pictures, they actually...
There's that back kick to the body, Phil, with the heel of the foot, Phil, the heel of the foot. And I've said it over and over, that's the floating rib, Phil, and that is the kind of kick. Manson has stopped many people with that kick. That is not by luck, that is not by surprise, Phil. At the Crystal Park Casino in Compton, right next to his hometown.
To the great Coban.
To Coban with the heel of the foot. It's a devastating kick. And when you get hit with that shot, it paralyzes you.
This fight again showed how brilliant the Black Bruce Lee is. He used the referee who hates low kicks to shield him from low kicks. Then in round 2, he goes berserk with spinning shit and wins. Most importantly, he is a good man.
As crazy as he looks and acts, he's a very humble man. He's well respected. He loves doing stuff for young kids. He's a good man.
Manson Gibson, Blinky, what a way to notch his 100th career victory.
Manson Gibson versus Yarsin Loogklongtan. The Black Bruce Lee came out throwing all of his fancy kicks. Yarsin was slick though and dodged all of it. Then he put on his swagger. Yarsin would land multiple low kicks. Eventually, he would land multiple middle kicks. When Gibson landed a nice side kick, he showed that it didn't affect him. Overall, this was the most effective I've seen a Muay Thai fighter face Gibson. It appears the counter-fighting approach with good roundhouses makes Gibson hesitate a lot more. In a chaotic exchange, Yarsin was able to land multiple kicks, but Gibson landed a beautiful whirlwind left hook. Then he would whirlwind around Yarsin's back and take him spinning around. When they hugged again, Gibson wouldn't let go when the ref told him to. Throughout the round, Yarsin barely punched and just threw low kicks and middle kicks. He was certainly scoring effectively with it. Gibson enjoyed the fight and smiled when the round ended and tapped Yarsin to the gloves. In round 2, they hugged for way too long again and wouldn't break when the ref told them to break. Yarsin again landed good middle kicks. What was impressive is that he can kick just as well from both stances. In this round, Gibson landed a spinning back fist on Yarsin's roundhouse, and that made Yarsin excited. A chaotic exchange then followed with Yarsin being very excited. In the next round, Gibson landed multiple side kicks without dropping his leg. He also landed big punches and spinning back fists. When he tried to whirlwind, however, Yarsin dodged all of it and landed his own jumping kick. This brought Yarsin's swagger back out once again. He walked towards Gibson like a bad man and waved him forward. Then he landed multiple roundhouses on Gibson. When Gibson tried all of his spin attacks, he kept getting roundhoused by Yarsin. At the end of the round, Gibson showed they had a lot of fun and they hugged. The fight was ruled a draw. Yarsin for some reason was also super happy and gave Gibson a flying hug as well. They both touched gloves and then fought each other all out right away. In this round, more of the same thing happened. Yarsin landed many roundhouses and Gibson attempted his spinning attacks. For some reason, Gibson was first awarded the win, and just as he celebrated by cartwheeling his sweat into the audience, the fight was announced a draw. Then it was determined that they need to fight one more round. They went right at it. After a while, they hugged again and wouldn't let go. All of a sudden, the ref told them to stop. At the end, it was determined a draw once again, and they hugged it out. So there you have it. This is how Manson Gibson, the Black Bruce Lee, became the Muay Thai Slayer. Were you impressed by his performance? I know I was. Let us know your thoughts below. If you enjoyed this episode, the best way to support us is to watch another one. I'm Kenshin, and thank you for keeping our channel alive.